Flosstube. My name is Becca, and I am SamBrie Stitches here on Flosstube and Instagram. And this is another special edition of Interview with a Flosstuber. I am so excited and honored to be here with Nicole of Nicole's Needlework. I love her channel. She stitches such beautiful, beautiful samplers. She's part of the reason that I kind of got like attracted to samplers. Since I'm an AIDA stitcher, it's a little difficult, but very enabling. I think I add something to my wish list at least once every video when I watch her. And I think we are all super jealous of her floss when she shows her floss, how beautiful it is. There has to be a trick to it. It looks so good. And everybody talks about it. So mine never look that good. They're pretty messy. So how are you doing today, Nicole?
Doing good.
Yeah. All right, well, let's hop into the questions and get to know you a little bit better. So the first question,
Ginger, look over here. Oh, she's not cooperating.
Oh, she'll look over here. We can see her. She's adorable. But I noticed that a lot of pets don't like to look at the camera, which is kind of funny. They don't like to see themselves or what it is. But yeah, she's totally looking away right now. Love it. Okay. So the first question is, why did you start a Flosstube, and were there any particular motivations?
So I had to go back and look and see when I first started it, and I actually rewatched my first video, and it was back in, I think, 2016. It'd been like 4 years, and back then I was actually knitting, and I was doing knitting and spinning, so spinning the wool to knit with, and I didn't even realize cross stitchers were doing this. All I had seen was knitters. I had seen knitters and spinners doing it. And then I was with some friends, and this girl started talking about Flosstube, and like stitchers were actually doing this. And I'm like, really? Stitchers are doing this? Because I had only seen people knitting. Yeah. And so then I started watching more and more, and then I started adding stitching into my videos, and then it pretty much became all stitching with the little knitting. So. And the motivation, I don't know, it took me a year to finally upload. So I would try it. I'm like, no, I can't do this. I would try it. No, I can't do this. And then finally I just did it. And, I was so nervous. It was, and then gradually, get more comfortable, but I still get nervous, but yeah.
Oh, wow.
And I guess the motivation was to just reach out to more people and to connect with more people. That's what I love. I love reading all the comments. I love, I just love the connection it gives you.
The community is amazing. Yeah. So for the knitting community, is it pretty similar to the Flosstube community as far as like how close everybody is and that kind of thing?
Yeah. It's a lot bigger. So but there are like certain groups, like there's more like little niche groups, where, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but they have, I don't know if you've ever heard of Ravelry.
Yep.
It's so in there, then they have different groups for if you like different designers or different podcasters or different, you know what I mean? So then they have like communities within the community. And I guess stitching would kind of be like that in a way too, because you have samplers or people who do haids or,
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess it is kind of similar. It just seems like it's a lot bigger than, I don't know, stitching community seems like kind of a little
smaller.
Small.
Yeah. I think I've heard that before too. It's growing, but yeah, over the years, I think it's a smaller community compared to some of the other crafts that are out there.
Mm-hmm.
So the next question is just a subscriber question, and they were just wondering if you have a blog.
Yes, so I've had a blog. I think I started in 2003.
Oh, wow.
When my boys were babies. I didn't even have Matthew yet. And I would just talk about life. I talk about stitching. And then I kind of let it go for a while. And now I mainly use it for my show notes. So I try to do pretty detailed show notes, you know, so if anybody's like, what did she say? Or what fabric was that? They don't have to go back, or, you know what I mean? They can just look on there and see, you know, I try to put everything in there. I'm sure I miss things sometimes, but I try to put everything in there. And so that's basically what I use it for. Before it was kind of more like a journal or a diary. Now it's just kind of like where my show notes are.
Information. Nice. I don't find too many people that still have a blog. So
yeah,
do you find it to be a lot of work, or is it just like adding the notes in like a description box type?
I try to do it like, so if I record every 2 weeks, I kind of try to update it within that. So then, so if I'm working on something, I'll just put it in real quick. So by the time I upload, it's almost all ready to go. And I just throw in a couple pictures and then link the video, and that's about it. So.
Nice. All right. Because I hear everybody's like, you know, blogs are so much work and all that other stuff, but you make it sound so easy because you kind of do it over time instead of all.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't. Yeah. If I were to do it all in one day, it would take a while, but I try and keep it updated as I go. So.
Okay. Very nice. Well, we'll make sure and link that down below in the description box too, so that people can go check it out. I know many people are still looking for people who have blogs, so that's kind of neat.
Yeah, I still read them. I mean, sometimes I forget, but then I'll go back and I'll have a bunch to go through. And I like people who keep them updated, and I think it's fun.
Yeah, I'll have to start going and checking that out and seeing what it's like, because I haven't really checked out too many blogs, but I know people are looking for them, so that's kind of neat. So the next question is kind of a fun one to learn a little more about you. It's how did you learn to stitch, and how long have you been stitching?
So I was trying to think about this. Both of my grandmothers sewed. My mom sewed. My aunts, they were all, I kind of grew up in a crafty environment. So with my grandma sewing my clothes and sewing my doll clothes, and my mom's mom was a quilter. My dad's mom did needlepoint, and she sewed a lot of my dresses growing up. And my mom sewed, like, she did more like sewed curtains, and, you know, she did more like house stuff. So slip covers and pillows. And she also did make me clothes, but sixth grade, and I'm like, okay, that's enough.
I can't do it anymore.
No more. So in middle school, we were making the friendship bracelets with the floss, with the DMC. We would do it in school. We'd pin them to our socks and then just do the knots. It's just knots. We'd do that while we were in class. And then finally, I'm like, let me see what this thread is really used for, you know? So I got like a leisure art baby leaflet with some little baby motifs and some floss, some Ada. And I was using all 6 strands. I'm like, man, this is thick. Like, this doesn't seem right. And there was like a little craft store in the mall. And I took it back, and she's like, yeah, you got to separate that. So I'm like, oh, okay. Now it makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's how I started. Just taught myself. And after that, I just kept doing like, I'd get like leisure arts magazines, and I do little cutesy stuff. And then late 90s, so this was early or late 80s, I guess, when I first started middle school. And then high school, I do little stuff. And then I got married at 18 and my husband was in the Army. So we moved to Hawaii. Well, first we moved to California and then Hawaii. And Hawaii was when I first really, my eyes were open to stitching, because that was like the first real cross stitch shop I went to. And I think it's still there. It's called Fiddlesticks in Honolulu. And then I discovered like lavender and lace, and I was like completely obsessed with lavender and lace angels. I couldn't get enough of them. And I really only framed a couple, but it was just all about, you know, the angels and collecting the patterns. And I look at the website and I was completely obsessed. And then I gradually started linen, but I did stitch on Ada for a long time. And then as far as samplers, I started liking the shepherd's bush samplers. And then I became completely obsessed with shepherd's bush. Like you see a theme here, like
Yep. Yeah, I do
little
the same
bit
thing. It goes
obsessive
fast. Yep.
with- and I like, you know, the website and like print all the pictures, like this is what I wanted. So that's how I kind of got into samplers. And here's like a shepherd's bush.
Oh,
So this was, I don't have it dated, but it's probably 90s, maybe early 2000s. So, and that's kind of what started my love of samplers there. So
neat. We have something else in common. I didn't realize you got married at 18 to a military guy. I got married at 19 to a Marine. So that's kind of
yeah. Yeah, my husband was in the Army. We actually met the summer after 8th grade and didn't start dating until 10th grade, but 15, 16, we've been together ever since.
That is
It'll be, let's see, last year was 30 years that we were together, you know, like dating. And so we'll be married 30 years in a couple of years. So 28 years or 29, I can't remember. 29 years.
We're at 20 something as well, but
I know, just crazy.
Wow.
So,
that's a love story right there. That's a love story.
I say it's because I'm so nice, you know, we lasted this long. So.
Yeah.
He'd probably tell you different.
Oh no, I'm sure he will. So do you happen to have a favorite project that you've stitched?
So yeah, I actually got out two. It was really hard to choose, but this is my first ever big sampler that I stitched.
Oh my gosh.
And this is actually, I should say, first reproduction sampler. And this is by Shakespeare's Peddler, Kitten Stitcher. And it's Sarah Woodham. And all that, it's hard to see for the glare, but all that is over one.
I was just gonna ask if that was over one, yeah. Wow.
Stitches. I'm like looking back, I'm like, what was I thinking? But yeah, this is probably one of my favorites. And it's dated 1770. So it's an old one, but I love it.
Stunning.
Love the colors.
Yeah.
So that one, and then I have a more recent one. So I was looking, I finished that in 2011. And then this one is a more recent. So I love, this is Threads Through Time and Rainer, and unfortunately it's out of print. And I almost feel bad like showing out of print things, you know, because
the market, yeah.
I just, you know, I hate it that, you know, people can't get it anymore. But yeah, this one was so much fun. So, yeah.
Those are gorgeous. Your samplers, they're amazing. I love seeing, you know, like your whips and all that you show. I don't really stitch the reproduction ones, one, because a lot of them have over one and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I kind of like the more modern samplers that are out there, but I love seeing, hopefully that didn't, but I love seeing the reproduction samplers stitched by other people because they're gorgeous.
Yeah. Yeah, well, of course, keeping with the obsessed theme, you know, like 10 years ago, I just became completely obsessed with reproduction samplers, and mainly reproduction samplers. So.
Wow. Do you have like a whole wall of your samplers?
No, I have nothing on my walls.
Oh, wow.
So we just moved into this house and it's probably still echoey in here, but I'm still trying to decide what I want to do.
Yep.
I have a very hard time like putting that first thing on. I don't know why, but when we lived in our previous house, it took me a few years before I finally like put stuff on the walls. It's some weird like quirk with me. I don't know what it is.
Well,
but
I'm sure it's a blank canvas, so it seems like it's kind of overwhelming of where do I put this or where do I put that.
Yeah. So I'm kind of like, I don't know, you know, and I have my two oldest sons, 18 and 20. I'm not hoping one moves out, but I kind of think one might move out. And then one of their rooms is going to be my craft room. So I'm thinking I just want to kind of have like this cave of samplers and
Yeah.
stitchy stuff. And so I'm just kind of thinking so I'm kind of like in limbo right now,
Yeah.
trying to see if one is going to.
I think that would be amazing. I'm in the same boat. I have a 16 and almost a 22-year-old. And so, that room, yeah, that would be amazing, filled with all the stitching. Love it.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Be like a woman cave instead of a man.
That's right.
Yeah, that's
Yep. No boys allowed. Yeah, all boys. So.
You can put that sign on the door. No boys allowed.
My cats are girls, so they're okay.
Oh yeah. That's true. That's true. That's a good point. Well, fur babies can be allowed regardless, even if they're boys. That can be so what do you enjoy most about stitching?
I think for me, it's definitely the process. It's like meditating, I immediately, like, if I'm stressed or having a bad day, I can immediately feel like my heart rate go down and, my breathing relax. And it's definitely a stress reliever. I definitely have some anxiety, and so that just helps me so much with that. So I think
there's something about stitching that I think is kind of common in us all, where it's so calming and so relaxing. I think it's just like the motion or something, but it's very similar with us all, what we love most about stitching. So that's neat. For sure. So we're going to get out of stitching talk a little bit, kind of learn a little bit more about you. The next one is, what's your favorite genre of book or movie?
So I think my favorite is British or Scandinavian mysteries.
Oh, wow.
I also love, for TV series and books, there's just something about I don't know, something in America where they all have to be perfect and their teeth are perfect and they're you know what I mean? And in the British or Scandinavian, it's real woman, real, it just seems more real, maybe a little.
What you're talking about.
And I don't watch a lot of movies, but I guess if I were to pick movies, it'd be the same. And I also like nonfiction. I like learning about different places, different cultures. I like philosophy. I like history. So I'm interested in a lot of different variety of subjects. I do like a little bit of everything. So
nice. I think variety is the spice of life. Isn't that the saying? So I guess everything, mixing it up is great. You don't get bored with one thing. So for sure. So do you have a fictional place that you would most like to go to?
I haven't really thought about that. Well, it's fictional, but it's actually a real place too. I don't know if you've seen Poldark in Cornwall, but it's Nicola from Hands Across the Sea actually lives there.
Oh yeah.
And she's actually seen them filming. Well, they're done filming Poldark now. I think it was 4 seasons. But I love Poldark just for that scenery. It's so beautiful on the sea and the cliffs of Cornwall there.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I guess fictional, but real too, So.
Yeah, well, I've seen pictures from Nicola where she lives, and I'm like,
yeah,
we're gonna go do a retreat at her place.
Yeah, definitely rent her cottages.
Yeah.
That was so amazing. Yeah.
No, there's such beautiful landscape out there.
I guess I could wear a dress from the 1800s while I'm there, right?
Nice. I think that would be fun. The dresses are they're nothing like what the dresses are now, for sure. Oh, that'd be awesome. That's it. So we're gonna have to reach out to Nicola and be like, okay, so we need a retreat, but it's gonna be one of the dress up retreats with the fancy dresses and some tea and some stitching.
Yes, sounds amazing.
Yeah, that would be it. So if you could choose to do anything for a day, what would it be?
Probably go to a retreat.
All right.
Since, yeah, I haven't been on one in a while. We used to do one in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And it was a weekend in October, I think. And she actually stopped doing them, not because of COVID, but for other personal reasons. And so I just miss that. I miss just hanging out with friends, and that's one thing. So I'm ready for everyone to get their vaccines and we can all get together, and it doesn't even have to be far, go to Panera or Starbucks or something, just get together and see each other. Zoom is great, but there's nothing like being together.
Oh, so. Yeah, 100%. I host a local stitching group in my area. And so we have a little Facebook Messenger group with the few of us that are in it. And we were just talking about, we're moving phases in our area, and, thinking of maybe meeting back up because we miss each other. I host a Zoom meeting, but again, it's not the same. You need that human interaction.
It makes a big difference. So yeah, that's what I'm really looking forward to. It's just getting this all back together.
I'm hoping retreats will start back up. I've never actually been to a retreat. I was set to go to the Acorns and Threads Stitch Summit last year, but of course, it went online. So I guess I was at a retreat, but I wasn't.
We had one that happened with Sassy Jacks in North Carolina. So it was we were all supposed to go, and then ended up being online, so it's kind of a bummer. But
hopefully towards the end of this year, they'll be able to start doing some retreats and get-togethers again.
Hopefully.
So we kind of already know the answer to this question, if any of us have watched or listened to the interview so far, but do you have any other hobbies besides cross stitch?
So knitting. I think knitting is the main other hobby, and I don't really do it a lot anymore. I used to do it, like sometimes I'll go through phases where I'll knit, and I'll only knit for like a year and a half or 2 years, and I won't stitch at all, which is so strange for me. And then I'll go through phases where I won't knit at all, or I'll knit just a tiny bit. I'm kind of in that not really knitting right now phase. But who knows what will happen, Right. It's just weird how it hits me, and I'm like, oh, knitting, and I just can't get enough, and then I go back to stitching. Will always be my first love. I'll always go back to stitching no matter what. So but I like to knit, and like I said, I was spinning, but I stopped. It was almost like a challenge for the spinning. I should have brought some, but everything's kind of in storage in the garage. But to get it, to get the yarn exactly how I wanted it, and to kind of manipulate it and everything. And then once I kind of met that challenge, I'm like, okay, that was fun, and then back to stitching, So I do like learning new things. I like challenging myself, and but stitching will always be, my go-to.
Yep. I think that is for many of us. I think, when people say they lost their stitchy bug or something like that, I wonder if there's a knitting bug too, where, you just get bit and then you're all in. That's what it sounds like. Same. Yeah. Okay. This is one of my favorite questions to ask. And I'm always curious on the answer. And this is, how would your friends describe you?
I was thinking about this. For me, I would say like big nerd, because I love my spreadsheets. I love like organizing and making everything, I don't know. I keep telling my husband, because he's started back into collecting sports cards. And I'm like, do you need me to make you a spreadsheet? Like, I can organize your cards, And so like, I'm like the biggest nerd. I love, stuff like that. I love techie. I love all that kind of stuff. And maybe they'd say I was funny or, kind. I don't know, but
enabling,
yeah,
talented. Quite a few. That's so neat. That's neat that your husband collects sports cards. Not to take away from the question, but my husband also does that, and has like his fantasy sports teams. but my husband is the nerd and does all the spreadsheets and stuff, and he does them for me too. So it's kind of swapped, but
Funny.
yeah.
Yeah, he used to do it when we first got married. He was really into collecting sports cards, and then got out of it for a long time. And then friends at work were really into it, and he just got back into it, and now he's like, you know, he's like, I gotta go to Walmart at 6 a.m. to get in line to get, and I'm like,
because there's not very many sports card shops anymore. So they have
Yeah.
like those boxes at Walmart and Target and stuff like that, where you can get some of the cards in, which I'm learning from him. But
yeah, it's crazy. Like
Yeah.
they get in line and the vendors are like, stay back.
yeah,
I gotta get this all, you know what I mean? And it's just so funny. One time I saw the vendor and I'm like, the vendor's here. The vendor's here. Hurry, you gotta get in line. He's like, stay there. Don't move. So I got my cart and I'm sitting there. There's two guys and they're like, what are you here to get? I'm like, oh, I don't know, football.
I'm just watching you.
I'm like, hurry up. Hurry. So he got there in time and I'm like, okay, bye.
That is so cool. That is so cool. And you know, it's just as addicting as it is for us for like
Oh yeah.
you know.
So when people are like, oh, are you sick of this yet? I'm like, I can't talk. You know, I have my thing, he has his thing, you know.
And that's what makes for a happy marriage too, is you have to have your things.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so neat. I love it. So we're gonna get back into stitching a little bit. And this is, how do you prefer to stitch? Hook, Q-snap, scroll frame?
So I stitch in hand. That's just how I taught myself back when I was on the 8-0 with 6 strands, you know. I think because my grandmothers both sewed, that I just automatically did the sewing motion, and my mom, you know, just watching them sew and stuff. So I think that was just like ingrained in me, just sewing. And I never even thought about getting a hoop or, you know, doing anything different. So it's just how I taught myself.
So with those big samplers, how do you like maneuver the fabric?
So I usually just roll it
Okay.
on one end and then hold that, and then you know, move it up and down. But yeah, that's what I'll usually do, is roll it. Now for because I did do a band sampler and it was long, I did put that in a scroll frame. So
Okay.
when I have like a long band sampler, I will usually put it in a scroll frame. But other than that, I just stitch in hand. So.
I find that one, it saves you money because you don't have to buy the, you know, Q snaps and all
Yeah.
that stuff. But two, it's probably quicker too. I know a lot of people say that it's a little bit quicker if you get like the rhythm going.
Yeah,
So
I guess it could be.
Yeah.
I've never timed it, but
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, we're supposed to stitch for fun, but I mean, just like, you know, quicker than you doing the stab method for like,
yeah,
that's for me.
yeah.
But, yeah. Do you happen to have like a preferred fabric that you kind of go towards?
Yeah, I'm sure everybody knows 40 count and usually like side linen. That's my biggest weakness, is like side linens. Yeah, and I just moved near a shop that carries it.
Oh, that's dangerous.
It's so dangerous. And I went there the other day and they had this beautiful piece, and I'm like, no, you know, you got enough. Like I have a stack already, you know. And I'm like thinking about it. So I go back, it's gone, of course, you know. I'm like, darn it. I told my husband, it's like when those, you know, Panini Prism sports cards come out, you have to get the box. That's what my lakeside linen is, you know. He's like, oh yeah, I understand, you know. So
Yeah.
But it's okay, I'll live without that. But yeah, that's my favorite lint. I don't know what it is, the colors, how they dye it, how it feels.
It's beautiful fabric.
Yeah.
Well, lesson learned. When you see it and you're thinking about it, buy it.
Yeah,
I'm learning that too, because I started collecting Ray Dunn, and I'll see like something listed online. I'm like, I'm not paying that price. I saw it in the store. So my daughter's like, next time you see it, just buy it and think about it. And if you don't like it, return it. So
exactly.
Good advice.
I know. You know, it's just one of those things where I'm like, you know, I'll be okay without that.
Yeah.
And then of course you find the perfect project, the that would, you know, be
Yeah.
great for this. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna run over there. Nope, that's all right.
Yeah.
No
Well,
big
I'm
deal.
sure there'll be more, but yeah, next time. Just...
So the shop owner's like, I'll call you next time. I'm like, okay.
Good to have a hookup like that. Dangerous, but good.
Yeah.
So where is your favorite place that you've traveled, and did you bring any stitching along when you went?
I think it would have been, actually it was before COVID, BC. My husband and I took a trip to New York City, and he was actually working, but we got to stay in this beautiful hotel because his work paid for it.
Nice.
And it was just us, you know, no kids. So it was so much fun. And then while he was working, I got to like walk around the city and do all kinds of stuff. And so, and of course, yes, I brought stitching, and I was a little more into knitting. So I went around to like 3 different yarn shops, took the subway to 3 different yarn shops, and got to like knit in Bryant Park. And it was just a lot of fun. Yeah, I had so much fun on that trip. So I can't wait to go back when, you know, things open up again and get back to normal.
We can travel. Yeah. I love asking this question because, you know, those of us that have taken stitching different places or knitting, those pieces have memories attached.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
And definitely. I love that because that just makes them even more special than, you know, the time that we put into them. So that's so neat.
Yep. So much
fun. So what can you not do without for your stitching? Like your favorite go-to must-have besides the basics, of course.
Right. So let me find it here. Hold on. So I have this, it's called a tail hider. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it used to be called a doolally. And so basically it's just like a piece of folded wire and those little tails that you can't get with your needle. You just put that underneath like some threads and pull that tail. It's got a hook on it, but I rarely use that hook. Mainly just, it's hard to see, it's so thin.
Yeah.
But
yeah, we can see it a little bit.
Yeah. So it's just called a tail hider. I think that's the name of it. And so back to Hawaii and fiddlesticks, they're like, you have to get one of these. And it really has been like a lifesaver for the last 20 some years. I've always had one in my little stitching bag. So
I have one. It's like a little pink heart, but I don't think I've ever used it the way that I was supposed to use it. Now that you
it really makes life easier when you have those little tails that you just need to get under there.
Yeah.
Sometimes like if you don't completely stitch over it in the back, like I don't know if you like how you do your stitching in the back, but like if for some reason it's just poking out and your stitches aren't covering it, you can just pull that through and get it back under there. So
I'm gonna have to try it. I kind of use it that way, but I have to see. I know I have one. I don't use it as much as I probably should. I'm not as picky about my box as I should be, I guess. But
I'm not really picky either. I just want to make sure the stitches
stay smooth. Yeah.
Well, and stay secure, like so they're not, so it doesn't like pop out, you know, for some.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Love that. That's kind of a neat tool. I'm learning all about proper tools, like because I think I learned the snag nabbit from when I was talking to Pam and stuff. So that's kind of neat. So how do you decide on what you're going to work on next?
I don't know. I usually just go through. So I'll like keep pictures of my whips and I keep pictures of all my patterns online. Back to the nerd, you know, like
spreadsheets. I love it.
I have my whole catalog and I'll just like go kind of flip through there, go through there. I don't know, just whatever calls to me loudest, whichever, you know, something new comes out and I'm like, you know, I got to start that, you know, I'll just start it right away. I'm not too structured. Whatever's calling the loudest to me. So
Do you do any sort of like seasonal type of decorating or anything like that? Or are you mainly like samplers and like the beautiful, gorgeous, bigger pieces?
Kind of. Well, it's weird because like I have samplers that are kind of a little more springy.
Okay.
Some are a little more, I'd say summer or fall. So I kind of am more of a seasonal, like, well, that sampler is a little like autumnal. Maybe I'll stitch that in the fall, you know, or that one has a lot of flowers. Maybe I'll stitch that in the spring. So I'm kind of seasonal, but I don't really do like seasonal smalls. I used to do them, but now I'm more kind of just, you know, I like little pillows and stuff, but they're mainly just, you know, just sampler like related.
Nice. Okay. I would love to just straight stitch samplers. I think I want to do that for a month and just work on my samplers. And I finished my first one and I want more because I want a wall of my samplers.
Awesome. Yeah.
I lived through you and I lived through Carol and, you know, Brenda and Laura lived through all
Yeah.
these.
Yeah. I lived through them. They actually have stuff on their walls.
I would love to just walk through their home and just, I could probably be in there for the whole day just looking at stuff on the walls. It's
yeah, like a museum, like going in
right?
like a gallery or something. Yeah.
So like it's heaven for stitchers and quilters too. But so we are down to the last question. And I say it in every interview, but it's my favorite. We're a few months into 2021, so you could still 2020 or this year, but what's the best thing that has happened to you so far this year?
I think it would be moving. So we moved in to our new house January 6th. So it was a lot of stress, you know, because we were fixing up our old house to sell it. Well, my husband did most of the work. He did a lot of work, but and then we were kind of in limbo. We were staying in Airbnbs for like a month during the holidays. So that was pretty stressful. But you know, we made it work and then moving in and we're loving our new neighborhood and loving our new house. And we can walk places, which is what we really wanted in a neighborhood. We wanted to be able to walk to, you know, shops or restaurants, and then there's a river right here that has a trail along it, which is so nice. So yeah, we're really enjoying it. So I think that's the best thing that's happened so far.
With moving during kind of the pandemic, because I know Anna from Stitch Roadies, Quilt Roadies, also did it. Was it more of a challenge than moving normally?
Yes, because there was a lot less inventory. There's not a lot of houses to choose from, and the prices were higher. It was good for us because we sold our house quickly and probably more than we would have maybe a year or two ago. But as far as buying, it was a little more difficult because when houses did come up that were good, they were gone very quickly. So ended up working out, though. We found a good house and a good neighborhood, so it all worked out. But yeah, it was a little bit of a challenge, especially COVID and during the holidays. Like, who's gonna put their house on the market,
right?
You know, it just so thankfully it all worked out.
I've heard the housing market is in our area too is challenging, you know, right now. And did you move yourselves or did you try to find movers? Because I know that's been a challenge too, is trying to find, you know, companies to move you still.
Yeah. So my husband, it was for his job. So he actually got a promotion. He was
that's awesome.
he works for Homeland Security and he was doing investigations, and now he's more just like management.
Okay.
So he's doing like admin type work, which is completely different. So they moved us. They came in, they packed us, which was so strange. I'm like, I mean, back in the military they did it, but I kind of did all the packing and we just like, they didn't care, you know, because I don't know, can be kind of a hassle. But anyway, so they came in, I'm like, I feel like I should do something, you know, they're like, no, just sit down. I'm like, this is so hard. I can't just sit down. But so they packed us and moved us, and then they put our stuff in storage. And then when we were ready to move in, they got it out of storage, and they were gonna unpack it, but I'm like, no, I'll do this. Like,
Yeah,
this is
yeah, you want to make sure, yeah.
kind of where I draw the line.
Let me
My husband's like,
do
no, let him. And I'm like, no, I got this. Just no, I can't.
Yeah.
I can't.
I'm right there with you, because those military moves, you know, when we went through them, I would pack all of my important stuff myself, because we know how how things can get broken and stuff like that. So yeah, well, that sounds neat. I mean, it doesn't sound as much of a headache as, you know, as it could have been. But
it worked out good. We're very lucky that, you know, his work paid for the move, and paid for lodging, and, you know, all that. So yeah, it worked out really good. So
well, congratulations to your husband on his promotion.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Crazy, because he told me he was going to do it, and it was probably 2 years ago. And government, like military, you know, they move so slowly, and so now it's like, and then when they're like, okay, it's ready, and then they give you 3 months to like sell your house, get up there, and you know, so
yeah, gotta love it. At least you were used to all that, you know, last minute vacations and all that kind of stuff anyways, because, you know, that's military life anyway. But yeah. Well, that's amazing. I had an amazing time talking with you. This was a lot of fun. We learned a lot more about you. Ginger turned her back on us, so she's like, nope. She did look at the camera a couple of times, so we did get some really good, you know, shots of her. But she's so adorable. But thank you so much for taking time out of your day to sit here and chat.
A lot of fun. I mean, it went by so fast.
Yeah, it does. So I love doing these. So we'll just say bye to everybody on Flosstube. Bye, everybody.
Bye.